back to Indrajit also. Indro, as Nalini said, a lot of observations from the tribunal also talk about Sheikh Hasina's conduct after the tribunal proceedings began. She was making hate speeches on social media. She has defied the tribunal's orders to not make such speeches. She's also been asked to come back to Bangladesh and subject herself to the tribunal proceedings, but she did not do so. So clearly, the tribunal and the Bangladeshi people taking this very, very seriously, as the death penalty has now been pronounced. But what does it mean for the proceedings further now, Indro?
Well, look, Anisha, there are several unanswered questions at this point in time. How is this verdict going to be implemented is the biggest question. There has to be an extradition formally of Sheikh Hasina from India to Bangladesh. Will India agree to that? The status quo now changes. The entire equation now changes. What was the official status? What is, in fact, the official status of Sheikh Hasina right now? Has India given her, some sort of a refuge, or is it just a temporary phase that she's putting up here? It's been a year now that she's been in India. So that is anybody's guess. There's no clarity on that. Bangladesh, of course, has been repeatedly and officially writing to the Indian government seeking repatriation of Sheikh Hasina, and they have also expressed their displeasure that Sheikh Hasina has been given access to the media to speak freely and give speeches over social media, using social media platforms to her supporters, which in fact has its bearing on the law and order situation on ground in Bangladesh. As I said, there was huge anticipation about this verdict today, from universities like the Dhaka University. There were other places where students have set up giant screens. People were watching this verdict because this verdict was televised live on the national broadcaster, Bangladesh TV. So this had, emotions were running high as we were showing in the chamber. There were victims' families, parents of Abu Saeed, whose image in a sense became iconic of this movement, who was in front of police bullets, raising his arms and facing his chest. He was, greeted by bullets. So all these were referred to in this long, 2-hour-long procedure in which the verdict and the order was read out.
Stay on with me, Indrajit, Nalini, both of you, please stay on with me. Let's show our viewers the order that was passed by the ICT. Remember, the ICT proceedings were live online, and we are bringing you the part where the verdict was pronounced. And as Indra was saying, the families of those who were killed during the or after the orders to shoot at the protesters were passed, the families were in court. Let's look at what happened in the courtroom.
She committed the same crime, that is the crime against humanity, on another count for causing the killings at Ashulia of Sabar, killing of 6 persons. For all these 3 counts, we have decided to inflict her with only one sentence, that is sentence of death.
Nalini, of course, is with me on this story. Nalini, you've been tracking this order for the last several days. Now, the kind of response we saw from the families of those who died during these protests. How are you looking at the verdict as well as what the court has said? Crimes against humanity is a very, very serious charge.
Well, the most serious, in fact, and a lot of these family members of the victims who died were, in fact, also part of the prosecution witnesses who all appeared before the tribunal and gave their testimonies. In fact, not just them, even the experts who examined all of these telephone conversations that were placed as evidence before the tribunal were all also witnesses who appeared before the tribunal, and the entire process of how these telephonic conversations were examined is something that they were asked, only after which it was determined that all these conversations are in fact genuine. Along with that, another important thing that the tribunal said during the course of its pronouncement is that Sheikh Hasina was the supreme commander during this entire time. She was in control of the authorities. And in fact, a lot of these protesters, the cause of their death was in fact death from military rifles. So all of those were done on the orders of the Supreme Commander, who was Sheikh Hasina. In fact, the tribunal also went on to note that Sheikh Hasina, through her authorities, had directed, and not just directed, but threatened the doctors in Bangladesh to not admit any of these protesters as victims. So all of the people who were seriously injured, a lot of them also lost their lives because they were not given the immediate medical attention that was required at the time because of the orders issued by Sheikh Hasina. So, which is why the three main counts on which the court has held her guilty, I beg your pardon, is number one, inciting the people in her party and inciting the authorities to carry out these attacks. Two, using the military equipment and lethal weapons to ensure that these attacks are carried out effectively. And third, and most important, was her utter failure, and not just hers, but her entire administration that was working under her, the utter failure to prevent these atrocities from happening in the first place as somebody who was responsible for the lives and the safety and security of the citizens of Bangladesh at that particular time. Another important thing that the tribunal noted is that this was not limited to just one or two districts. This happened across several districts in Bangladesh during July 2024, where violence on large scale was being carried out by the military authorities on orders of Sheikh Hasina. So throughout these 2 hours that the pronouncement was being done, the tribunal focused on the evidence that was before them. After every charge, they explained the kind of evidence that they had, along with also mentioning the kind of arguments that were made by the prosecution and the defense. An important thing to remember is that Sheikh Hasina herself refused to be part of these proceedings before the International Crimes Tribunal. She stated that she's not going to be a part of that. In fact, she made some very derogatory remarks during the media interviews that were carried out regarding to the proceedings of the case and the tribunal members who were hearing this matter. So for those reasons as well, the tribunal has concluded the fact that Sheikh Hasina is guilty of the crimes that she has been accused of, and not just...
Stay on with me. We're getting visuals from Bangladesh, from Dhaka, of what is happening there now after this verdict. Remember, there have been a lot of protests by Sheikh Hasina's party cadre against this verdict, and we're bringing you the visuals live from Bangladesh of what is happening on the Bangladesh streets right now. These are the visuals we're bringing you from Dhaka in Bangladesh after the verdict was pronounced by the ICT. We've seen multiple instances of arson, even stone pelting in Dhaka, as Sheikh Hasina's Awami League had called for a strike as the ICT verdict was due to be pronounced. And after this pronouncement of the verdict, you can see the police action that is being done against the Awami League protesters. At the same time, viewers, on the other side of your screen are the faces of the parents who lost their children last year to the bullets of the Bangladeshi armed forces. These are the people who have fought in the court before the tribunal to get justice for their children who were killed during the anti-Sheikh Hasina protests last year. The visuals that we're bringing you right now, the breaking news on these visuals from Dhaka. Army disperses protesters attempting fresh vandalism at Dhanmandi. Police have used batons and stun grenades to disperse the organizers. The army and police have blocked a group of people attempting to demolish the ruins of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's residence at Dhanmandi.